Cynthia, hi.
Hi.
So $1 million question is this. Did you tell Ben in production, the only way I'm coming back 8 years later is if I have an intense fight scene in the movie finally?
Listen, I would love to say that I got to dictate those types of things, but to be honest, I had always hoped that there would be a sequel. I was never really privy to those conversations, and I knew that that was always the intention when we did the first one. You know, you felt like you want to know what happens to these characters after the first movie ends. And so I waited, like the audience waited, and somehow 8 years passed. I don't know how it took as long as it did, but I finally get that call one day that says, yeah, we're gonna finally come back and make a sequel to this movie that's so beloved. I get stopped all the time throughout the years asking about, you know, when's the second movie coming out? So I got the call, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that I got a kick-ass fight sequence, among other many kick-ass things in the movie.
Totally. I mean, 8 years later, and I feel like we see MaryBeth has grown, but you have grown. So I feel like the universe said, now's the time, obviously. Coming back to play this role, what was that like for you? And where did you want to find MaryBeth?
You know, it felt like a full circle moment in a lot of ways. And it felt, you know, sometimes you want the timing of things to happen a lot faster than they're meant to. So I think as long as you're sort of open to that and you have the patience and sort of the faith in, like, you know what, when this happens, it's meant to happen at this particular time. And it was nice to feel like I could sort of bring some of my own, as you say, personal growth, evolution into a character that you had to hope, you know, she had grown too, because in the story, we're also taking that same 8-year time jump. So in the sequel, you know, she's now kind of big boss lady, you know.
So much boss energy.
Yeah, totally. And she's still at the Treasury Department, and she's still very much a woman of the law. And so the challenge for her is going to basically be this sort of clash of what it's like to work with essentially criminals. You know, Christian Wolf and his brother are not men of the law. They don't follow the rules. So I think a lot of the humor and the conflict stem from that.
Conflict, also the death of a good friend, a mentor, and J.K. Simmons. What would you say is your growth over the last 8 years?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I definitely have more gray hairs. Don't zoom in.
Well, girl, where?
They're hiding. They're hiding under here.
You look stunning, radiant.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, 8 years, a lot has happened in 8 years. I mean, that's putting it very mildly, right? So you have to hope that even with challenges, there's some sense of, if I can sort of weather through or overcome something, I'm learning something about myself, I'm feeling a little bit more confident, and both for MaryBeth as a character, but I think also for myself on set. You know, this was a different experience for me when I filmed the sequel. I felt, you know, I had a little bit more life and work experience under my belt. I got to work with Ben and John, which I didn't get to do in the first movie.
Right, totally.
So it was like, oh, I'm kind of working with people that I really admire, that have, you know, tons of experience that I want to sort of continue learning from. And so for me, it felt like I felt a lot more confident and assured. And so I was excited to get to have that experience. Because the first time, to be honest, I was terrified. I was terrified doing the first movie.
Why were you terrified?
It was a big opportunity for me, and a sort of big step up. And I was working opposite J.K. Simmons, who was literally winning the Oscar as we worked together. So, you know, MaryBeth and myself as a kind of a bit more wide-eyed, naive person compared to MaryBeth now, who I think is a lot more self-assured. I feel like it's the timing is right.
And that's what speaks to you as an actress, because I agree, MaryBeth, timid, in the final scene in the movie, she's, you know, ascending to this new energy, but she's like, I guess, yeah, I mean, I want to thank everyone, but now in this sequel, she's like, I'm 100% that chick. What do you want audiences to take away from this movie and you as MaryBeth?
I think this movie, you know, when you come back and do a sequel, you want to feel like you're bringing some of what's familiar, but you have to, you know, you got to take it next level. So everything has to be bigger. The stakes have to be higher. And I think with this movie, we really had to change the tone. You know, the first one is more of an origin story for the accountant, really for all of the characters. Right. So to revisit them now, this is now about sort of bringing something, a different energy to the same story. So we have humor, we have heart, we have action, bigger action, set pieces. And so, everybody that, was involved, or not everybody, but a lot of people involved in the first movie are coming back for the second. So I think that that's always a really good sign of, you can trust that it's in safe hands, and everybody involved was really intent on making sure that we gave the audience, even more of what they love.
Oh, you delivered, hit it out of the park, and you, my dear, are next level. Thank you so much.
Thank you.